And you are live.
All right, good afternoon. It's 3:02 p.m. and I'd like to call the Budget and Finance Committee meeting to order. And Michelle, if we could have a roll call, please.
Sure. Freeman,
Here.
Amobian,
Here.
Malik,
Here.
Baylor, Lombardo.
Here.
All members are present except for Baylor.
Thank you, Michelle. Could I have a motion to accept the minutes from our previous committee meeting, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. All right, very good. All right, we have two items coming before us, and read in the first item here. This is an ordinance authorizing an arrangement between the CSPA bargaining unit and the city of Akron regarding employee wage increases and benefit changes through calendar year 2024 and declaring an emergency. Let's see, Mr. Fricker, I'll come to you first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is the final labor agreement that we've reached with our four bargaining units. We've previously have agreements with ASME, FOP, and the fire union, and this is our fourth. This agreement is structured similar to police and fire in that it's a 3-year agreement. It will have cost of living increases of 4% for 2022, 4% for 2023, and 3% for 2024. The healthcare changes are similar to all of the other bargaining agreements or bargaining units and non-bargaining employees. In addition to this, there's a slight change in the way the longevity pay will work for CSPA employees, where they're going to a percentage of their salary as opposed to a flat amount based on years of service. So those are the main changes with this agreement.
Okay, and Steve, just for me, please refresh me what changes we made. Was there a change in the employee's contribution to healthcare?
Correct. So there aren't any changes for 2022. They stayed the same. But for 2023, for a single employee, it's going to go up to $65 a month, $160 for family. And then in 2023, it's going to go up for single to $70 a month, $180 for family.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Come to Ms. Amobian for our first question.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Fricker, could you explain the increase you were saying by percentage of wages versus a flat amount? And also, I was picking your brains earlier about the premium adjustment that this group will receive. Can you talk about that, please?
So the longevity pay previously, it was structured so that based on years of service, and there were tiers that change every 5 years. So starting at 5 years, I believe the previous agreement had a range between $500 and $800, whereas this will be percentages of their salary that increase 0.1% each year with years of service. So it will result in slightly higher longevity payments for these members than the existing system that we had. So this is similar to the longevity structure that police and fire have.
I see. And could you talk about the premium pay?
So the stipend payments that we're making for CSPA will be 3 payments of $1,000 each. That will go over the next 3 years. So,
versus the other group you're doing how much?
So the other groups for ASME, it was 2 $1,000 payments, And for police and fire, it was $3,000 this year and $2,000 next year.
Okay. So, and I guess they negotiated this, so I guess there's nothing for us to do, but still the lower paying groups, and I think you said the first group was, what's the name of the first group?
Was ASME or 1360. Yeah.
And that's 1 year, meaning that
They did a 1-year agreement, correct?
so next year they can negotiate
Correct.
something else. Okay,
Correct.
okay. And the premium pay percentage is negotiated as well? Is that recommended by the administration? How does that work?
So that was a component of the negotiations, although it's technically not in the labor agreement. But it was part of the negotiations. So, but it is part of what, that was discussed during the negotiations.
So if it's not a part of the agreement, if council wanted to, we could give the lower, because folks didn't ask me for the most part, and I don't know this, correct me if I'm wrong, are those the lower paid staff?
I mean, it's hard to really characterize it that way. The salaries for each positions and each labor union has different positions within. So there are, it varies based on the type of position. So there are some positions within ASME that are higher than non-bargaining at 1360 and probably police and fire for that matter. But it all varies based on their job title.
So I guess my main point, and Mr. Chair, I hope it's okay for me to follow up my question. My main point is, if we wanted to, as a council, that premium pay could be recommended differently by us. That's my question to you, Mr. Fricker.
I would just say that these premium pay amounts were reached, determined based on the negotiations that were had with the bargaining units, as well as, from our side in terms of, what we know would directly qualify as premium pay. So for some of these stipend payments that we're doing, we're going to be utilizing the revenue replacement portion of ARPA funds as opposed to the direct premium pay use of ARPA funds. And, the way that the guidance is written for the ARPA grant, police and fire directly qualify. Most of the other positions in the city do not. And that's part of the reason that we came to these amounts. It was, there was a lot of thought put into, coming up with these amounts, and that was all part of the negotiations. So, I mean, I guess that's all I would say is that, these are a byproduct of the process of the negotiations this year.
And you said these are replacement dollars?
Some of them will be, depending on whether or not the employee would directly qualify for premium pay or not. So as a typical rule, like it's the people that are out in the field. So all safety forces qualify for that because they're out in the field. Whereas an office worker, if it's someone that work from home, or even in an office setting, likely would not qualify directly. So because we have revenue replacement dollars too as part of ARPA, we can utilize those for those payments. But those dollars, we're counting on using some of those also, to supplement our revenue losses in the general fund.
Sure.
So that's how we kind of came to that determination on what those amounts would be.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Malik.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Fricker, for the information. Councilwoman Amobian raised some of the questions that I was going to ask. But regarding the longevity pay changes, you mentioned that overall that's going to result in a net increase in the payouts under longevity pay. Do you have a sense of kind of what amounts or what percentage over time?
So I'll just say it like this. For the entire bargaining unit, I anticipate that extra cost annually to be about $125,000 to $130,000 a year.
Okay. And is that anticipated to change kind of dramatically over time, over the next 3 years?
No. So it will go up, I think the advantage to the bargaining unit employees is that previously it did not go up and down with the cost of living increases, whereas now it will. So over time, it will grow every year, whereas the current structure was kind of a static amount.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the explanation there, and also, appreciate the negotiation of the premium pay. I mean, I think that is part of what ARPA was designed for. I kind of have a little bit similar feelings to Councilwoman Amobian that, it would be, all things considered, it would be good if those amounts were even, but I understand that, each was negotiated separately and that, there are different buckets that qualify. So I definitely understand where that's coming from, and hopeful that we can pass this today.
Thank you.
Okay, Michelle, I do not see any other hands. Help me if I'm missing something here.
I see no other hands either.
Okay, very good. So in hoping that we could get this passed here this evening, would someone be willing to entertain a motion that we suspend the rules report?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor of suspension of the rules, please let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, very good. We'll get that passed out this evening, and glad that our bargaining units, the administration, able to work out something that hopefully everyone's pleased with, and we will pass that this evening. Mr. Fricker, thank you for your work as well.
Thank you.
All right.
Councilman, I was not able to get everyone's response.
It was a unanimous vote.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. All right, we have one other.
Mr. Chair, you're muted.
I'm having some computer problems here. Okay, second item is an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of an agreement establishing the Community, University, Education, Purchasing Regional Council of Governments and declaring an emergency.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the city of Akron has participated in this CUE, which is kind of a collective purchasing unit that we partner with other cities and entities in order to get good pricing on some of our commodities that we buy. And the main one that we use this for is the purchase of our salt supplies each year. So, by going in with other cities, we're able to, have a lot more purchasing power and get better pricing on that salt. We've also been using it somewhat for our vehicle purchases. So some of our fleet vehicle purchases and things like that, we've been getting CUE pricing on that. So this is a change. It's really not a change in the way that this organization will operate. It's just it's a legal change that they decided that this would be structured better as a council of governments than as this previous structure where it was a CUE. So this is a 7-city agreement. Akron is one of those. And each city is being asked to pass legislation in order to establish this structure as a council of governments. But as I said, it really really not have any impact on the way that the organization operates. So Akron will be a member of this organization just like it was before. It's just being structured slightly differently.
And there's no cost to the other municipalities or whatnot to be a part, is there?
I believe all of the participants, our fee is a $200 fee to join. I believe it's similar for all the others as well.
Okay, very good. I'd like to come to Ms. Amobian, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. You asked one of my questions, but the second question is, at any point, we could pull out of this agreement with no penalty of any kind. It sounds like it's a good benefit to us to do.
Yeah, I believe that we could, and I believe that we don't have to necessarily participate in the pricing if we chose not to. So my understanding is, one of the things that we potentially could buy through this arrangement is our fuel, but it's just worked out better for us to purchase the fuel on our own. So we have not gone in with the other governments for the purchase of our fuel, but we have done it for salt and, as I said, for some of our vehicles.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Fricker, what's your pleasure on this?
I guess I would ask for suspension of the rules. I don't know if there's an exact timeline, but unless there's objections, or additional questions from council, I guess I'd like to get this passed tonight if we could.
Okay, very good. Well, with that said, do I have a motion for suspension of the rules and issue a favorable report for this evening?
So moved.
Second.
Very good. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, very good. We will pass that out this evening. Thank you so much, Mr. Fricker. Thank you, committee. And we are adjourned at 3:19 p.m. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
That is the final committee meeting